197 against right-handers.
So Santana ready to fire, and Johnson lifts his first pitch out to left, and Daniel Murphy trots in to grab it. One pitch and one out. So Johnson retired, one away, and it'll bring up Yunel Escobar. Escobar struggling on this current road trip. The Braves started their trip in Florida. They swept a 2-game series there, then went to Philadelphia where they won 2 out of 3. After the Mets had swept Atlanta in a 2-game series last week. Escobar hitting at .286. And he takes a strike, 0-1.
Well, Atlanta had a very poor homestand and then took it on the road, and of course took the 2 series down in Florida. And then to Philly, as Gary said.
And Santana works him inside with the fastball, 1-1.
These are one of those games right here where, as a fan, you just love to either watch on TV or be lucky enough to be at the ballpark. 2 good pitchers.
And it's only unfortunate that each team is without a big bopper in the lineup tonight. Chipper Jones sitting for Atlanta and Delgado sitting for the Mets.
There's Chipper between that bar right there.
So a guy who loved to play at Shea doesn't get to play in his first opportunity at Citi Field. 2-2 now to Escobar.
Well, Chipper's got the bad elbow. He cannot throw, but he'll be available for pinch hitting.
And the same is the case with Delgado. And I think this is something we're going to live with Carlos throughout the year, with this hip problem that has come up sore again today. 2-2 from Santana, and Escobar fouls one away.
Well, Delgado has had success against Lowe. Not a tremendously high average, but 14 RBIs career against Derek Lowe. I'm sure that he would love to be in this lineup.
Again, the 2-2, and he rolls the changeup out to short. Dive by Reyes, but no chance to get Escobar, and it's an infield hit.
Well, nice play by Jose here, but no chance to throw out Escobar. Probably was been better just to eat it. Too tough a play to come out, even with the strength of Jose's arm, to throw out Escobar.
You know, I'll tell you, in the middle 80s, when Dwight Gooden would make a start, guys would be in tune defensively to try to make a play because you never knew it might be the only hit.
Now Martin Prado filling in for Chipper Jones, playing third base tonight. Prado off to a good start with the bat, hitting at .303. Only the 7th start he's made. And he takes inside. Prado, a guy who can play anywhere on the infield for you. They've got a couple of guys like that on this team with Prado and Omar Infante. Santana looking to work those right-hand hitters inside. He falls behind 2-0.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed, Ronnie Gare, with Santana, is he comes out early and establishes that fastball.
And in, too.
Now behind 2-0. And Prado takes a fastball for a strike. And isn't that something we've seen a lot of on this homestand from the Mets starters? Fastballs, especially early in the game, playing to the size of this ballpark.
Yeah, they really. Jonathan Neese had a great comment. He said, I was told this is Cavernous Park. Be aggressive and throw strikes.
Foul down the right field side, 2-2 to Prado. Well, Prado in the lineup because of this yesterday. Chipper Jones swinging the bat. And you can see he was in some degree of pain. That right elbow was already ailing him, but he tweaked that, and it's just another in a series of small injuries for Chipper that have bedeviled him over the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, last year Chipper hit .364, won the National League batting title, but he missed a significant amount of time. And when you're the linchpin of a team the way Chipper is, that's very hurtful.
Boy, look at those numbers, huh? Against the Mets.
Well, so much more is asked of Chipper offensively.
2-2 to Prado. Grounded toward the hole. Can't be handled by right. And into second base goes Escobar. If Wright's able to make that sweeping grab, they have a chance for 2, but instead it's back-to-back hits for Escobar and Prado and 2 men aboard.
Well, it's purely reactional here. Ball hit right to David's left. Tough in between hop. It's through. Tough play.
So a first inning opportunity for the Braves, and Brian McCann, who returned to the lineup over the weekend in Philadelphia. He's missed 13 games this year, the result of an infection in his eye, and you see he's wearing glasses now for the first time. He's got those sports glasses working, and he had a good series hitting with those glasses at Citizens Bank Park. And he takes ball 1 from Santana. McCann in the series in Philadelphia went 5 for 11, including a home run on Saturday.
I don't know what Mr. Gibson, the home plate umpire, is looking at. That ball is right down the middle. Ball 1.
And McCann takes high 2-0. Tim McClellan, the crew chief of this unit, has third base tonight, but it is Greg Gibson who has the plate, not B. Andy Fletcher at first and Ted Barrett at second. McCann hitting at .250 on the year. Santana behind him 2-0. And it's foul back.
Well, McCann kind of came back with a bang. Gary had a big series in Philadelphia. 5 for 11 with a home run and 4 RBIs. Gotta wonder if those glasses are bothering him, if it's any kind of distraction to him. Obviously not in Philly.
Well, he had more of a problem behind the plate the first game. On Friday, he wore the hockey-style mask, and he said the glasses were fogging up, so he went back to a traditional mask, and it was fine the next couple of days.
Well, that was the old Ryan Dern and Bob Veal story, right? They used to wear glasses, and they take off their glasses. They're both wild. Rusty said of Bob Veal, took his glasses off and got his handkerchief out of his back pocket and started rubbing his glasses. He said, "Oh, no, he can't see me. This is a little problem."
Tough early spot for Santana with 2 on and a 3-1 count to a dangerous hitter. And McCann swings and pops it foul, 3-2. Matt Diaz, who has spectacular numbers against Santana, waits on deck. It's worth noting Santana has never beaten the Atlanta Braves. He's made 5 career starts against Atlanta. He's 0-3, including 2 losses last season.
One of the games gave up only 1 run in.
Wonder if they'll put up Bobby Cox or put these guys in motion. 3-2.
Not going, and McCann pops it up. Should be playable for Wright. Infield fly if it's fair. And caught in fair territory for the second out. So 2 away as Santana comes back to get McCann, and now Diaz will step in with 2 out and 2 on. There you see the numbers for Johan against the Braves. Clearly he's pitched well with that 2.76 ERA, but you look up and down this Atlanta lineup, there are 4 or 5 guys who have great numbers in their career against Johan, and Diaz one of those. Diaz 8 for 15 with a home run against Santana.
He has not played on this road trip. This is the 7th game in on this road trip, and he has not had an appearance.
Well, they basically platoon him now, which was his role a couple of years ago. He tears up lefties and doesn't do a whole lot against righties.
Looks like he's trimmed down a little bit, too.
And Diaz swings and misses in the changeup, nothing in 1.
But it's always very interesting. Pedro Feliz got the same deal with Santana. Santana knows who the first ball fastball hitters are. Diaz is, Pedro Feliz was, and through the lineup fastballs in, but the first ball fastball hitters leads them off with a changeup.
Eric Lowe waiting for his turn on the mound. 0-1 to Diaz. Another changeup, and Johan gets ahead 0-2.
Oh, just beautiful movement on this pitch down. Ball just disappears. Whenever it's knees high or lower, the ball just breaks out of the strike zone.
Oh-2. Rounded down to third, right over the bag for Wright as the long throw to make on a hop, can't be handled by Tatis. Here comes Escobar. Tatis with a throw, not in time, and the Braves take the lead. Escobar never hesitated coming around third, and when Tatis couldn't pick up the throw on a hop, he scooted on home.
Well, David gets right in front of it nicely, but he's been throwing great lately. I tell you what, that's a close play. Diaz might have beat that ball. No, he's out. Tough hop for Tatis. So an unearned run.
It'll go as an infield hit for Diaz, and then the error on right enables Escobar to score, and it's 1-0 Atlanta. So no RBI for Diaz, and here's Kochman with 2 out and 2 on. Kochman had a big day yesterday in Philadelphia, 3 hits and 3 RBIs.
He had 0 home runs when the Mets played Atlanta last week. Well, he's hit 2 on this road trip. He's got 13 doubles, Gary.
Tied for the league lead in doubles with Freddie Sanchez of the Pirates. There's a fastball for a strike, 1-1. So a difficult fielding inning for David Wright. The ball that Prado hit, there was a tough play, but David couldn't grab it, go into his left, and then the one hop throw that Tatis couldn't handle at first base. 1-1 to Kochman, and he fouls it at the plate, 1-2. Kochman acquired last summer in the Mark Teixeira deal from the Angels. Jeff Francoeur hitting 7th in the order. He's on deck.
This has been what's happening pretty much this whole homestand. The visiting teams that have come in have had an opportunity early to get to the Mets early, and they can't get the big 2-out hit.
Now Santana ahead 1-2 on Kochman. Foul down the left field line.
Now, Ronnie, I got to ask you a question there. It was clear that Kochman was going to go the other way with 2 strikes. He threw him a changeup, and he was leaning over the plate. You was a pitcher after he released. Can you see this?
Oh, absolutely. If I throw a good pitch on the outside and it's down, and the person has a good swing at it, hits the other way, my initial reaction, I need to stand him up. I have to come inside.
Santos flashing out the signs. Fastball fisted foul.
Well, it's up and in fastball, but the catcher was set up away. He missed on the other side of the plate and upstairs.
You know, we've seen this, though, with Santana. Haven't we? Occasional counts. It doesn't really matter to him where he's throwing the pitch. He's just adding a couple miles an hour more on that fastball.
He knows how to pitch upstairs, too.
This will be the 27th pitch in this opening inning for Santana. 2 on and 2 out. And it's in there for a call, strike 3. Gets Kochman looking to avoid further trouble. An unearned run for the Braves, only the 7th run Santana's allowed this year, and Derek Lowe takes the mound with that lead. Mets starting lineup for it tonight. No Carlos Delgado, so David Wright moves into the cleanup spot. Daniel Murphy up to the 5-hole. Jeremy Reed gets just his second start of the season. But the little engine at the top of the lineup, well, he all of a sudden is getting it going, both at the plate and on the bases. And tonight facing the sinker baller, Derek Lowe.
Well, great numbers, 4-1. What a great career he's had. I was interested to find out that he has had, this will be his 264th start, but he's also had 278 relief appearances. I always thought he had more starts than relief appearances, but mostly gets ground balls.
One-time closer in Boston. He once had 42 saves in a season with the Red Sox. Well, here's Reyes, who's hit in 4 straight games. Hitting at 276 on the year. And he takes below the knees for ball 1.
Jose in this homestand hitting 364 with 5 runs scored, 5 RBI.
Mets have been making a habit of scoring in the first inning, particularly here at Citi Field. 17 home games they've scored in the first inning 11 times this season. Corners in against Reyes, who fouls one off, and it's 1-2.
And we'll take a look at the Brave defense. You see McCann back in the lineup. They have played spotless behind Lowe. Only 1 error, and that's a guy who doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, throws a lot of ground balls.
I think that error was committed by Lowe himself.
Into center field, and standing his ground is Jordan Schaefer, the rookie center fielder. To retire Reyes, 1 away.
But once Lowe signed with the Atlanta Braves after the whole John Smoltz thing, where Smoltz signed with Boston and then they gave the extra year to Derek Lowe, I knew he was going to have a good year here. You know why? Because Roger McDowell's the pitching coach, and he had one of the best sinker balls of all time, so he gets to work with one of his own, talking the same language.
Here's Castillo, who has just 1 hit in 11 career at-bats against Lowe, who misses Lowe, ball 1. That's a good name for a sinker baller, isn't it?
Right.
That's right.
There's Tom Glavine, who hopes to pitch this year. Now 43 years of age and back in New York. Well, this was after the top of the first, Dan Worthen and Omir Santos.
Well, they're going over the game plan 1, and then also what the pitching coach and manager want to know after the, not rough inning, but the inning where Santana gave up a run. They're trying to gauge what kind of stuff Santana has and asking Santos to let them know. Does he have a good fastball, good changeup? Is he hanging his slider? All those questions.
Carlos Beltran waiting on deck. 2-1 to Castillo, and that misses low, ball 3.
Well, this is right up Castillo's alley right here. You got a sinker ball pitcher. Louis likes to hit the ball the opposite field, and he has a good eye at the plate. You always want to make a sinker baller get it up. Don't fish for that ball that's the bait strike downstairs.
And Castillo taking all the way on 3-1 and draws the 1-out walk. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner for Beltran.
Bobby with a shake of the head. Pretty good pitch here from Lowe. Good eye by Louis, but you like that outside, Kate?
I thought it was a little outside.
Well, clearly, though, Greg Gibson has a very small strike zone tonight. And that obviously works against the quality starting pitchers on the mound. Here's Beltran, now second in the National League in batting with that .374 batting average. And he grounds one to second, should be a double play. Johnson to Escobar and on to first, 4-6-3 on the double play. Only the second one, believe it or not, Lowe is generated this year. 1-0 Atlanta. 8:30 p.m. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney take on the latest from the Mets, Yankees, and all things New York sports. And this Wednesday, check out NFL legend Mike the Playmaker Irvin as he joins the debate in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30, only on SNY. Derek Lowe wasn't necessarily pleased with the strike zone in that first inning.
See what he said? He goes, where was that 3-1 pitch? To Greg Gibson. Very interesting. We were asking the same question up here, but if you are a veteran pitcher, you're able to have those kind of conversations with the umpire.
I guess that conversation was not antagonistic.
As long as you smile when you say it. Jeff Frank Kerr leads off in the second inning, and he swings and fouls it back. And Frank Kerr has gotten back to where he was last year. He has been swinging at everything lately. After getting off to a good start, hitting at .272.
Look at that look in his eye. And there's a dead fastball hitter. And Santana going right after him.
It's hard for a leopard to change his spots. Isn't
Yes,
it, Keith? If you're a very aggressive hitter, you want to work within that within those parameters, but still it's hard to lose that aggressiveness.
A very nice way of putting it. I was going to say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I said it's too critical.
Changeup fouls off. Early on in this game, Ronnie, Santana does not have the velocity on his fastball he had in his last start against the Phils.
Well, it's interesting. You know, they always think that the time that you give him on that start is going to change your start. Remember, he had 7 days before his last start. Sometimes it's the start after that it's affected.
And Frank Kerr strikes out on the pitch in the dirt. Back-to-back strikeouts for Santana, one down in the second.
Boy, it's like too much Red Bull or something.
Demonic, isn't it?
Gosh, I'll have a glass of milk.
Here's Jordan Schaefer, the rookie center fielder. Schaefer has struck out 18 times in the last 7 games. You hear that?
Well, I did. No, I did. In fact.
Sorry, Gary.
It started against the Mets, right?
Yeah, we had the 3 games in a row. He struck out 3 times, but he's striking out 3 times almost every game.
He's just swinging through fastballs. The series, when the Mets were in Philly, and we got that rain delay, I saw him strike out 3 times against, I believe it was Florida. They were home with the team that was in there prior to the Mets.
Okay.
And he struck out 2 games back-to-back,
right,
6 times, 3-3. So it's been a tough slog for him. Very talented young man.
They were hoping he could hit leadoff, but mostly he's been hitting 7th or 8th because of all those strikeouts.
Well, you know, in spring training, this is why you sometimes don't fall in love with the guys and what they do in spring training. It's because they thought that he needed to go down and spend 1 more year in AAA, learn how to hit left-handed pitching before he came up, but they had to rush him up.
He's only 22. He would have been in the big leagues last year, but he sat out a 50-game suspension because of performance-enhancing drugs. But Schaefer considered an enormous prospect, however, really having trouble making contact.
Well, he can run like the wind. He plays a good center field. And, you know, he's got 22 walks. That's why they wanted him to lead off.
3-2, and he fouls that fastball back. And right now, Santana topping out around 91.
His last start is 93, 94, right?
Yeah, but 91's plenty.
Yeah. Well,
91's plenty.
But he's catching a lot of the middle of the plate, which you don't usually see him catch.
Again, the 3-2 to Schaefer. And he got a piece of that and a piece of Santos.
You know, we gave the stat in the pregame that his last 20 starts, Santana hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs, and that was only once. And I'm telling you, as a former adequate starting pitcher, that's almost impossible to do, because at some point you're going to give up a 3-run homer or you're going to have a big inning. He just doesn't seem to have those.
Schaefer down swinging, and that's 3 strikeouts in a row for Santana.
Well, he's just got a little uppercut, and you see swinging right through, and that's what I've seen from the young Schaefer. And really, Santana didn't even fiddle around with him. He just went right after him with cheddar.
How about the determined look on that face? So 2 out and nobody on. Now Derek Lowe, not much of a hitter, lifetime 121, 0 for 9 this year. And Lowe takes a strike. Well, the last time the Mets faced Derek Lowe, you guys remember this game out in L.A.?
Yeah.
When the Mets scored 6 runs off Lowe in the first inning, but then Glavine couldn't get out of the third, and it was 9-6 after 3. And Lowe has himself his first hit of the year. How about that? Over to plate is Murphy, and he'll hold Lowe to a single. The 4th hit for the Braves, which is Well, it's 2 more than Santana gave up in his last start.
Well, it's kind of interesting. In the last game, he walked the pitcher twice. Here he gives up a hit to Lowe.
And what is that? Is that a little bit of unconscious letdown?
I don't think it's letdown. I think he's just going right after. And when you're a pitcher and you get cheddar, you are swinging and you're hoping to make contact. More luck than anything else.
So now Kelly Johnson has swung at the first pitch of the game and flied out to left in the first.
He has always been a Met killer. He's always been in the middle of things in the past, off to a real sluggish start. But hitting lefties well.
Remember him leading off the game with a home run against Lavin at Shea.
Oh boy.
A half-hearted cut, and it's 1-1.
That's called, why did I swing at that? I didn't have a chance. Oh, that's happened more than a few times.
To you?
Oh, yes. Where it's always a high fastball, too, that runs out of the strike zone, and you try to hold up.
Johnson hits one in the air to right, and Jeremy Reed measuring it. That retires the side. A hit and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the second. David Wright to lead off. Mets down 1-0. NY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager. Let's go down to Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, I'm with a special guest, Sebastian Altaleo. He's a junior at Seton Hall University. And why is he so special? Because he is the first recipient of the annual James Plummer Memorial Scholarship Internship. And, of course, that's honoring the late James Plummer, who died last year after 4 decades of service with the Mets. And it's an internship, which is the way Jimmy Plummer started off. He started off at the bottom ladder and worked his way up. And basically what Sebastian is doing, he's interning this summer with the Mets, and the Mets Foundation will pay back some of his tuition to Seton Hall. So the first recipient of a tremendous award for a tremendous guy. Guys, back to you.
That's great that the Mets are doing that to honor the memory of Jim Plummer, who meant so much to so many people in the Mets organization. David Wright leads off the home second against Derek Lowe and takes a strike. David hitting a .304. .391 on base percentage. See what he's done during the Mets winning streak. And Lowe gets the outside corner, and it's 0-2.
Makes you emotional, doesn't it, to think about the Plum?
Well, he was such a relentlessly positive person. Daniel Murphy hitting 5th in the order tonight on deck, and then Fernando Tatis in the second. It's got a base runner in the first. Castillo walked, but was erased on a double play. 1-2 to Wright. Derek Lowe now 35 years old. He'll turn 36 in 3 weeks. And you have to figure that was one of the main reasons why the Mets did not want to go to a 4th year for Lowe.
Oh, boy.
Right down swinging for the first out.
Well, sometimes those pitchers can make you look bad. It's a pretty good little slider right there, and just ate David up.
I think it was his age, Gary and Keith, and it also is that the Mets have given out a couple of 4-year contracts in the past that haven't really worked out.
Well, I'm not going to front run here. I just thought it was the right thing to do. Ollie had Perez at his age was 28, had such a bigger upside. Who can foresee the future and see what happened to Ollie?
Well, who knows? I mean, you'll have to go down the road 3 years to see how the relative deals pan out as Prado fields Murphy's ground ball and throws him out 2 away.
Well, there's also a big contingent of people that wanted to sign Lowe and, a Monday morning quarterback. And then there's also a large contingent that wanted to sign Manny Ramirez. So can you imagine if...
Oh, boy. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
If that story broke here in New York. But you know what? Another consideration, too, Ron. Even though the players are in much better shape than we were.
Gasparino's in the house.
Yes. I am always reluctant, and I don't care what kind of shape someone's in, to give a pitcher a 4-year deal when the last year of the deal, he's going to be 40 years old.
Well, the Mets gave Pedro Martinez a 4-year deal, and you can argue that they didn't get much out of him in years 3 and 4, but they feel as though they got their money's worth because of what Pedro brought to the table in terms of his presence and his recruitment value.
Yeah.
So every case is different.
He put a crown on the top of the Mets' head, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well, he helped bring Carlos Beltran to town for
That's
one
enough,
thing.
right there.
Here's the 0-2 to Tatis, low and away.
Well, it's interesting now. The general managers have to have a whole different train of thought, because back in our day, with the players not being in great shape, they wouldn't even have considered giving a guy 36 years old a 4-year deal.
Well, when you're a 35, you're done. That's what most people thought.
Well, it may be that way again. I mean, let's face it, part of the reason why players have been so good 35 plus is because of performance enhancing drugs, at least in part. And if you're a GM, you have to take that into account now.
You make a good point, Gary.
2-2 to Tatis, low and away, and a full count to Fernando, who's playing first base tonight in place of Delgado.
Is there anything performance enhancing for a broadcaster?
A little coffee.
Okay, there.
Maybe some tea with honey and lemon if you have a sore throat.
But no Red Bull.
No Red Bull.
No, not for you.
I had no idea what's in Red Bull.
It's caffeine, right?
It's a lot of overcharge of caffeine.
Taurine. No DLs for Lowe, and that certainly is in his favor. The guy who's been able to stay healthy through his career. There's the Red Bull in the dugout. Tatis bounces one foul.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the adults out there watching, we've all had probably our share of too much coffee in the morning, and I hate that feeling when you're just you're on edge. You're a walking time bomb.
Glad we don't work in the morning together.
You could be a time bomb in the night, too.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Tatis with 2 out and nobody on. And another one foul. This one caught his leg. Fernando has gone 37 straight plate appearances now without striking out. I mean, you think of a guy like Murphy or Castillo. You don't think about Tatis as being that kind of hitter.
Well, the thing he's done this year that I didn't see as much last year, he's going the other way a lot with 2 strikes.
Again, the 3-2. And he bounces this one down to Prado. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Derek Lowe. We head for the 3rd. Santana back to the mound. 1-0 Atlanta. AT&T switched to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered. And it's been a less than scintillating fastball for Johan Santana so far tonight. He's given up 4 hits first time through the batting order. Yunel Escobar leads off the third. He had an infield hit his first time up. And Escobar takes high for ball 1.
When you watch Santana, Keith, to me, it almost reminds me of a matador, huh? The way he takes his stance, and it's if you had to read body language, it's bold, it's brazen, it's aggressive, and that's exactly how he pitches.
Toward the hole, Castillo with a beautiful diving stop, rolls over but throws it wide. And safe at first is Escobar. Backed up nicely by Santos to prevent the extra base. Great effort by Castillo.
Well, he goes out of his way to the left here, makes a nice diving stop from the one knee. And you got Tatis, who's not out of position here. The throw's not that bad. And I think that Fernando just kind of got committed a little bit. You see, that throw's not that far off the bag.
That's like inexperience, right? Keith, if he got on the inside part of the bag with his footwork, he might have had a better chance to catch that.
It's called committing too early at first base. You want to straddle the bag, all you young kids. You have time to read the throw, then step with your lead foot to where the direction where the throw's coming. And if you did what Tatis did there, which was stride right directly at Castillo, the throws to the left or right, you can't make a move one way or the other, and that's called committing too early. And that's what happened there. It wasn't that bad a throw.
You get locked in, right?
Yep.
5 hits now off Santana. 3 of the 5 have been infield hits. Prado single to left his first time up, and he takes an inside corner strike. Santana's been trying to work that inside corner, one of the few calls he's gotten early in this game. A cool but beautiful night in New York, 55 degrees at game time. Change up outside, 1-1. And Prado wants a face-to-face conversation with the third base coach, Brian Snitker. Think he can hit and run in this spot?
Well, if they were, the Western Union is out, right?
No, Prado's never hit third this year. It's the first time hitting third, and I think Snitker went down there and said, "You're hitting third. We don't bunt the third hitter."
Well, except that he's not a third hitter. So you could bunt him. You've got, good hitters behind him in McCann and Diaz.
But if they wanted to hit and run, the cat's out of the bag.
You think? Well, he puts the bunt
How
on. How about that? So Tatis fields it. Castillo covers. 3-4 on the sacrifice, moving Escobar to second.
So that's all about that man on the mound right there. That this could be a low-scoring, one-run ball game, and Bobby Cox playing very, very conservative here early.
You don't want Tatis underhitting that ball, do you?
No, you want to have a toss there.
Yep.
Sharp toss, because that way, if it's off the bag, you have some room for error.
So now McCann, who popped up his first time up, with a runner in scoring position and 1 out, and the Braves already leading 1-0. And he hits a rocket down to first. Nicely grabbed by Tatis, and Santana covers for the second out. So Tatis, whom the ball is finding in this inning, finds the ball.
Well, that's a rocket. It came up. Oh, boy, what a play by Tatis. And, of course, Mr. Santana right there to field. That ball almost took his head off. This came up. Nice recovery, nice play.
And Santana gets there quick, and watch him after he goes past the bag. He turns around, faces that runner at third base.
Remember, Escobar made the sharp turn to score the first run.
So you make the tag, and then you check that runner at third base if you're the pitcher.
Now Diaz takes a strike. Diaz had an infield hit his first time up. That led to the only run of this game. Right fielded it deep behind the bag, threw a one-hopper to first. Tatis couldn't handle it, and Escobar came around to score.
I love it. Remember the first time up with Diaz, he let him off with 2 changeups. Gary got ahead 0-2. Second time around, men on base, 2 fastballs inside.
12 straight starts. He's allowed no more than 2 runs. It's just extraordinary. 0-2 to Diaz. Little tapper to short. In comes Reyes. And throwing on the move. gets Diaz to end the inning. Well, Fernando Tatis right in the middle of everything that inning. And he makes the fine play on Brian McCann's sharp grounder to get Santana through the third. Still 1-0 Atlanta. We'll remember all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Tomorrow night, Mike Pelfrey against Jair Jurgens. Day game Wednesday, Jonathan Neese against Jojo Reyes. And then it's off to California, 4 in San Francisco, 3 in LA, and then back across the country for 3 at Fenway Park. And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Jeremy Reed getting just his second start, leads off in the bottom of the third.
You sound a little bitter over that travel schedule, are you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I look forward to that. I love Boston.
LA to Boston.
Any way we can get there is fine with me.
So
even if
true.
It's by way of California. There's a strike, 1-1 to Reed.
I'm just glad the scheduling wasn't where the Mets played Boston at home. It's always fun to go to Fenway.
Yeah.
Always fun to go to Boston.
Reed has had just 14 at-bats this season, but it seems like he plays every day. And that's because he does. He's had more games as a defensive replacement than anybody in the majors. Going out there to play left field most of the time in the 8th and 9th innings. Omir Santos on deck.
First game I ever went to in Fenway Park, I was a kid. Tried to get the Red Sox autographs after the game. Could not because they were behind this barrier. So I went to the team bus of the Oakland A's, who were in town. They had all the mustaches and the long hair. My first autograph, Dave Duncan.
Wow. Bounce to the right side, and Lowe will take it to the bag himself for the first out. He would later be your pitching coach.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Well, we mentioned earlier that Derek Lowe was one of the guys the Mets considered signing in the offseason. One of the strange things about that is he has the same agent as Oliver Perez. Kevin Burkhardt talked to him.
It was a strange offseason. In the beginning, it seemed like you're possibly going to go to the other New York team and then maybe Philadelphia. And then there was definitely a period of time where there was a lot of talk with the Mets, but it just never really kind of gained any momentum. Scott Boras represents both Oliver and myself, so you kind of knew where they stood on both guys, and and it always kind of sensed like they were leaning towards Oliver, which is fine, and so we had to explore other avenues.
So that adds a little bit to the story.
It was pretty funny about that interview because all ball players have their kind of go-to kind of things with the media. Like, how'd you feel today? Well, I really didn't have my best stuff, but I kind of grinded it out. Whatever the cliche answers are. When Kevin asked him later in that interview, he said, well, next week you're going to be matched up with Johan Santana. You know what he did? Derek Lowe went, oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, it'll be a great matchup because, it's nice to pitch against Johan. All the standard things. But his first reaction was, oh, what a bummer.
It's interesting, isn't it? Most guys revel in facing the other team's ace, don't they? I think he's reveling now.
Yeah.
He's got a 1-0 lead. Santana on deck. Santos grounds one toward the hole. Escobar on the backhand takes his time and throws out Santos 2 away. Escobar knew exactly how much time he had.
Makes a nice backhand. He could have planted, but opts to kind of throw on the run. And he's got the strong arm. He can get away with that. Nice play.
You have to watch out, though. Not a traditional catcher in Santos. He runs pretty well.
I like Escobar. He's a fine young player.
So now Santana looking for his first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 9. Lowe just got his first hit of the year off Santana, so Johan trying to return the favor.
Francoeur and Diaz both way too shallow against Santana. I mean, I know you want to play a pitcher shallow, but he's got some power.
Down to first base, right at the bag, a fair ball for Kochman. And so Lowe has faced the minimum first time through the batting order. We head to the 4th at Citi Field. It's the Braves leading Santana and the Mets 1-0. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Bob's Discount Furniture is America's #1 furniture retailer of the year and the official furniture store of the New York Mets. Clear night in New York. Temperature in the mid-50s. And heat on the mound with Santana and Lowe. 1-0 Atlanta on an unearned run as we start the 4th. Casey Kochman went down looking his first time up. And he pops the first pitch up, playable for Santos in foul ground. 1 pitch and 1 retired. And how about Santana, who was about 5 feet behind Santos when he caught that pop-up?
He does it all. He's going to help him catch the pop-up. Now he's picking up the mask and the gear.
What a guy.
He's a pro. He's a pro's pro.
He's got such fire.
He's so into the game. You know, I mean, every aspect of it.
Well, that's the thing. You think of pitchers as being on an island and doing their own thing, but he's a baseball player.
He is one of the athletes on the field. You can't always say that.
There's Jeff Francoeur taking an off-speed pitch for a strike. Let's check in with Kevin. Oh, Kevin.
On that topic, guys, I was talking to some of the Mets today about, it feels like when you're in the crowd when Santana pitches, it's an event. And I wanted to know what it felt like on the bench. And Gary Sheffield said it best. He said, what it's like watching greatness. And we're always waiting for that next big moment with Santana. He said, anytime someone gets a hit, we're completely shocked. And he said, I can tell you this, as Francoeur punches one to center, Beltran out number 2. He said, I can tell you this, when I played against him, I always had to rev it up to such a high level to match his competitiveness. And he said, Sheffield said this about Santana. Here's the best thing about it. between innings, when he comes off those white lines, he's a great teammate. He has fun, just like we show you before the game when he's doing the handshakes. He's the same guy in the middle of a game. He said once he crosses that white line, that's when the intensity comes out. It's hard to do, but you almost need it to keep your sanity. He said the only other guy that was really like that, Greg Mannix.
Jordan Schaefer fouls it off. I don't know how he turns the switch on and off, though.
Well, yeah, that's the hard part. But I think he just loves the competition, and those handshakes before the game are hilarious.
By the way, he came up with a new one tonight, at least new to us. Razor Shines. Look at that one with Pelfrey. I hadn't seen that one, but he did one with Razor Shines tonight, where he starts embracing him. There's Jeremy Reed with the hair, and then he does the shave. Here it is. Look at this. Razor, right? That's great. Tatis fields the ground ball from Schaefer, and Santana has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Mets will try and get him some offense. Top of the batting order coming up as he and Razor share a shave. 1-0 Atlanta.
Prado comes up several feet at third. A lot of pressure on Kochman. He has to hold against a guy who is capable of stealing, and they check him with the toss over to first, Jose Reyes. And he has to have a dual assignment. As now there's something wrong with the mask of the catcher.
Maybe his
Brian
glasses.
McCann.
I think it might be his glasses. Remember I told you how they fog up under that mask? I think he needs to get them clean.
Well, guess what?
He's taking them off.
Discarded them.
How about that? Looks like they're going to do some kind of work on them in the dugout, but in the meantime, he's going to go without them.
Well, he's talked about the blurred vision and the glasses helping him so much, improving. Here's the pitch at a fastball. He saw that one to catch it, and the count is 0-1 to Luis Castillo, who did not bunt in that situation.
Yeah, the trainer is spraying some kind of solution on there now to get them clean. They won't let him stop the game for it.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Turning to bunt is Castillo, and then he doesn't offer at it and takes it for a called strike 2. That is giveaway baseball on that particular pitch at 0-1 to make it 0-2. On deck is Beltran. Mets trailing 1-0. Throw over to first base. Reyes back in. Derek Lowe would not have done what he's done over the last 12 years without the ability to somewhat contain that running game. Reyes edging off to his lead. He has 10 steals. He's not going to pitch a bounding ball to the left side. Prado has it to second. Kelly Johnson throws to first. They double up Luis Castillo and Jose Reyes. And not running Reyes, not bunting Castillo. And it turns out to be a double play. And that's why you have to put something into effect against a sinker baller. Because that is the second double play that's been hit into tonight. And it could very well be not just the last. There may be a few more in the bag of tricks for Derek Lowe.
I think there's one other angle, too, and it has to do with Brian McCann not wearing those glasses for a while.
Carlos Beltran takes the pitch low and away, ball 1.
I mean, if he needs them enough to wear them during games, then it may stand to reason that if he's got to take them off to be cleaned up, maybe that's the time to run on him if you get a chance.
Reyes never took off, and Castillo did not bunt. Here's the pitch to Beltran. That sinker's low, 2-0.
I'm not saying it's anything as profound as, well, you can't even find second base with his throws without the glasses. It's nothing like that at all. But it compromises him, obviously, not to have them, so why not try and take advantage of it?
Pitch on the way, a breaky ball, swung on and missed. He's got that slider going now. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. I'm more disappointed in the second pitch to Castillo than anything, because he squared the bunt and let it go by, and you're already at 0-1 of the count and cannot let that happen. 2-1 pitch. Swinging a drive, a base hit into right, a solid line drive single on one hop to Francoeur, and Beltran gets the hit, and that, my friends, is the first hit of the game for the Mets. It comes with 2 outs at the bottom of the 4th inning. There will be no tonight at Citi Field, at least not for Derek Lowe.
The way this game is evolving, that first inning error of David Wright's is becoming more and more significant. And I wonder how much that's on his mind now against a tough guy to elevate. Derek Lowe has only allowed 2 home runs so far.
David Wright struck out his first time. Here's the pitch, a swing and a miss. He blew a 4-seam fastball right by him. 0-1 the count. This Derek Lowe is one tough hombre. Born and raised in Dearborn, Michigan. Has had success at every stop. The pitch. And he misses low with a sinker. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. One of his true keys of success, the fact that left-handers are hitting just 178 against him. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a foul back. And Wright had a good pitch to hit. That was out over the center of the plate. Buffalo Wild Wings, your stadium away from the stadium, serving wings, beer, and sports in 7 locations, and now open in Stamford, Connecticut. Buffalo Wild Wings, you have to be here. A throw over to first base as Beltran was just walking off to his lead. That's a pretty good time for a right-hander to have quick feet, make a quick move, and throw over to first base. Lowe thought he might catch Beltran angling off to his lead. He's not going in the breaky.
Running much, 3 steals this year, and that slider. This time David lays off it, and it's 2-2. Fouls off the sinker. David's been getting better and better in the bigger situations. He's now over 300 this year with runners in scoring position after a slow start.
55 pitches so far. That's a good number.
Oh, had a tough start his last time out against Florida. Gave up 6 runs in 5 innings, but his other starts have been excellent this year. 2-2, and Wright fouls that one away.
Well, David's staying in on this at bat. He's in the early April, the April he had, he was pulling off, and that's a good sign right there after a hard sinker with 2 strikes and stayed in and that fastball away.
Again, the 2-2, and that misses, and a full count to right, and so now Beltran will be on his way. And if David can find a gap, get Beltran home with the tying run. Hodgman behind him now. 3-2. Hit hard to second to right of Johnson. Bobbles, recovers, side retired. Johnson had enough time to get it back and throw out David Wright. Still 1-0 Atlanta as we head for the 5th. Rely on most in judging pitchers. What do you think? 1-loss record, ERA, or walks, strikeouts, and home runs per 9 innings? Text to 57508 or SNY.TV with your best judgment. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
It is. I have my answer.
Derek Lowe will lead things off for the Braves in the 5th inning. Atlanta scored a run in the 1st inning, an unearned run, the result of a David Wright throwing error, and that has been it. Johan Santana is making his 7th start tonight. He's given up 4 earned runs in 7 starts.
And there he is again in trouble in the 1st inning. Give up 3 hits, gets out with one run, unearned, and then settles down and can complete command.
Speaking of settling down, that pitch, that ball, he had thrown 13 straight strikes before that last pitch.
In an era where giving up 4 earned runs in 7 innings is a good outing.
That's right.
He has given up 4 earned runs in 7 starts.
Can we see that graphic again, guys? With I missed it. I was fiddling with my scorecard.
Well, it's important that we look at this then.
Look at that.
3rd lowest in Mets history through his first 6 starts. Ryan and Cone. Of course, Coney didn't start the season in the rotation that year.
That's right.
In '88.
George
Santos taking the brunt of that foul tip.
Well, that pitch, right
on the bottom of the chin. George had an amazing year that year. I'll tell you, 20-3. It's George.
Now, could you explain to people why you call David Cone George?
Because when he first came over, he could not hit a lick, and he came over from Kansas City. and he imitated George Brett, and he told every story about George Brett. It was George this and George that. You should see George hit. You should see George do that. And George took me out to dinner, and the whole so we end up calling him George just to tell him to stop. And George Brett stories.
And guess what? It didn't take long. He stopped talking about George Brett,
but you didn't stop calling him George.
Exactly.
So he's always George with us.
Fourth strikeout for Santana as he gets low in the K crowd.
And everybody forgets, David Cohn that year, 120. He started out in the bullpen in April.
Went 20-3 that year.
What a year.
Here's Kelly Johnson, been up twice, flied out both times, and he takes a strike.
Plus a great teammate.
Well, great teammate. I always tell this story. When we got David in a trade for Ed Hearn, he came at the very end of spring training in '87. He pitched against the Cardinals like 4 innings, struck out 9 batters. And we're like, oh my God, how did we get this guy for Ed Hearn, a backup catcher? So we get on the plane to come to New York. As the plane is taking off, he is sliding down the middle of the plane on one of those little placards that tells you all the directions how to get out. He's surfing down the middle of the plane. We go, whoop, now we know how we got him.
Here's the 0-2, and Johnson pulls one over the bag, but just fast.
He said, you know what, he's going to fit in nicely with this team.
Apparently quite a salesman, too, I hear.
Yeah.
Well, that's the elite. Yeah, some of the elite anyway for an organization that has been blessed with incredible pitchers.
It's hard to beat David's 88. He beats top Seaver 69.
If it wasn't for Hershiser not giving up a run the last 2 months of the season, he would have got the Cy Young.
Well, I mean, the greatest single season pitching in Mets history is Doc's 1985. Obviously Seaver won the World Series in '69 with the 25 wins, but it's hard to beat 1.53.
It's hard to beat 24-4.
And 286 strikeouts, and he was a phenomenon.
Was that amazing?
Swing and a miss. Johnson goes down on a high, hard one. Back-to-back strikeouts for Santana. He's got 5 for the night.
Well, as we've talked, he likes to go upstairs, RJ.
Well, it sets up everything because he does what you're supposed to do if you're going to be a strikeout pitcher. You see the strikeout calls.
By the way, you're not supposed to put those K's over that advertising. Here's your Coors Light freeze cam. Oh, that hurts. Remember on replay. Ball 1 to Escobar.
Mike Tyson uppercut.
Escobar has been up twice as a pair of infield hits. And he has scored the only run of this game. And now Santana behind him 2-0. By the way, Hitchcock did not finish second in the Cy Young ballot in '88. He finished third.
Who finished second?
Danny Jackson.
Danny Jackson had a good year.
Yeah, he did. He was tough. Talk about Derek Lowe with his sinker. He had an amazing left-handed sinker, didn't he?
There's the pitch count there. He threw hard.
Yeah.
And he had a hard slider, but thank gosh it was flat.
He had a heavy ball, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I had pretty good success off of him.
Escobar walks on 4 pitches. The first walk issued this evening by Santana. And after Johan retired 8 in a row, the Braves have a 2-out base run.
Now, I know Day is going to look up my record against Danny Jackson. Danny Jackson was the toughest left-hander I ever faced. So when I say I had decent success off him, I hurt him a few times. Because he was a tough mark. When I looked in the paper and saw the pitching rotations and you saw Danny Jackson, I started putting on my Army boots when I got up in the morning.
You were preparing for battle.
Yes. It was going to be a war.
Here's Martin Prado, who's single to left and sacrificed. And that's 5 in a row out of the strike zone for Santana after the 2 strikeouts to start the inning. And this is a spot where the Braves really miss Chipper Jones. I mean, you've got Prado hitting 3rd in the lineup. If Chipper's up in this spot, it's just an entirely different inning.
Well, I was kidding Keith before the game today. I said, Keith, what do you and Martin Prado have in common? You're both 3rd place hitters. But it doesn't matter that he's in the 3rd place because he's one of those guys that usually bats 2nd.
Or 7th.
Yeah.
1-1 to Prado.
Had a fastball running?
Yeah.
87?
It was a throw a strike fastball. He doesn't have his great fastball tonight.
And we've seen that right from the beginning tonight. Normally he's able to dial it up to 93, maybe 94, but not in this game. 1-1 to Prado. First a check in on Escobar, who has just 1 steal this year.
Mel Stottlemyre used to always tell me, he said, listen, be patient. Sometimes you don't have it early in the game. It'll come back to you. So be patient with your fastball. It might come back in the middle of the game.
Brian McCann waiting on deck with the glasses back on. And Prado watches wide on the changeup, 2-1. By the way, you mentioned Mel. The new Arizona Diamondbacks pitching coach is now Mel Stottlemyre Jr.
Exactly. He's been coaching for a long period of time. He was like the roving pitching instructor for the Diamondbacks for a few years, and it's nice to see him in the game.
His brother Todd used to pitch in Arizona. 2-1, and that changeup misses. And now Santana behind on Prado after walking Escobar, and Brian McCann looming on deck.
Interesting. Some of the Braves hitters have been really, we called it spitting on the changeup, taking it, in a really relaxed fashion. You don't usually see that.
On 3-1, shot foul when it's 3-2. Well, coming out of yesterday's game here, Ian Snell said that he thought the Mets had his signs and knew what was coming. Could it be that the Braves are stealing signs or trying to?
I watched Ian Snell pitch for 2 innings, and you don't need to steal the signs. He's never going to throw inside. Slider, 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 slider.
You are cold. Escobar gets set to run. 3-2 to Prado. Fouled away.
Well, there's something to be said about that. In '84, when we played, there was a lot of accusations that the veteran Chicago Cubs team was stealing the signs from the Mets pitchers, and I think a lot of that had to do with the inexperience of the Mets pitchers. They were tipping off the pitches, and Rusty would help you occasionally, Rusty Staub, to not tip your pitches.
Again, the 3-2 popped up foul. That'll head toward the seats. Tatis over for a look, but it's back in the crowd.
That good Cub team in '84, they were stealing signs all over the league, and particularly at home. I remember Larry Boa told me they were relaying from the TV screen. Had someone sitting in the clubhouse relaying down if they stole the signs. They were also relaying signs from first and second base. So it drove Gary Carter crazy. In '85, when we got Kidd, in a tight situation, Kidd would call timeout and change the sign.
Yes,
remember?
he would.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Prado. 3-2. Hit hard, but right at Castillo. Snags the hop. Side retire. Santana works around the 2-out walk. We're halfway through. 1-0 Atlanta. Head shot of Times Square on a beautiful Monday evening in New York. That's great. I used to love those shots. A little dizzying, though. If they keep turning, I might have a little vertigo. Home fifth inning, Mets trying to get on the board. Daniel Murphy leads off against Derek Lowe. Murphy grounded out to third base his first time up. Lowe's been getting his ground balls tonight, and that tells you he's been on his game. He's given up only one hit. And Murphy grounds one out to Kelly Johnson. And quickly one away. Well, the Mets have not done much scoring for Santana this year, whether they're facing an ace or not. 12 runs. This is seventh start. 12 runs in the first 6 starts. The only time that the Mets gave less support to a pitcher through his first 6 starts. In 2004, they scored 9 runs in Al Leiter's first 6 starts. Al, over those 6 starts, was 1-1 with a 1.53 ERA.
How'd he do it? Unbelievable.
Here's Tatis, who grounded out to third his first time up.
It's like the Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Danny Herron. He's got no run support, but he's 1-3, I believe, maybe 1-4.
Well, Lowe, who got beat up by the Fishes last time up, on top of his game tonight.
I will tell you, from being in this kind of game before, and I never was an ace, but facing another team's ace, and you had a run, you would tell yourself, that's all I'm getting, right? Yeah. And so, if I'm going to win this game, I've got to win it 1-0.
That might well be the case.
Well, Jim Cott tells the story that when he pitched Game 7 against the Dodgers, he said, and they warmed up on the sidelines close to each other. He says, I was throwing my little sinker, and Koufax was just popping the glove. But he said, I turned to my pitching coach.
Tatis rifles one into left field for a base hit. Diaz has it on a hop, and Tatis has the Mets' second hit of the night. Fernando just swinging a red-hot bat right now.
Well, he hasn't had much of a chance to play in April, and he got an opportunity when Delgado first got hurt, and he took advantage. And he is back on the beam again.
He really has an idea when he goes up there, doesn't he? He has a real intelligent idea how to hit the baseball. When he first came up, he had a big, long swing. Just so different now.
Well, he hit 34 home runs that one year with the Cardinals in '99, and then they learned how to pitch to him because he was basically swinging for the fences.
And his manager at the time, Tony La Russa, told me that he got a little, how would you say it? He just, all players get big leagueitis.
And Reed bounces one over the outstretched glove of Kochman. Frank Kirk comes up throwing. Tatis to third, slides in safely. And the Mets have runners at the corners with one out. Tatis might have hurt himself sliding into third. He's getting up slowly.
Well, Baltimore chop here, and just out of the reach of Kochman. Just out of the reach. And watch Tatis heads up here, picks up the ball, and he realizes it's through. It runs aggressively to throw, a late slide at third.
He was not expecting that play on him, and he was a little shaken.
He didn't pick up his third base coach. When in doubt, your third base coach is there to help.
So Lowe gets a ground ball, and the Mets get a little fortunate there. Now the tying run at third with one out for Omir Santos.
You always have to be aware and be ready to slide with the front court because he has such a great arm.
Well, Santos had the big hit yesterday for New York. They were down 2-1 in the fourth, and Santos with a 1-out single to right that drove in a pair. Now up in another big spot, and he takes a strike from Lowe.
Well, Santos goes the other way well. Be very curious. Bobby Cox right there. Got Santos out on a sinker on his hands. His first time up on a ground ball to short.
See Kelly Johnson, Keith. He's too far up the middle for Santos, I believe. Got to scoot over there a little more in that hole.
Johnson and Escobar shortened up a bit.
I just got to believe that Lowe has got to pound that sinker in his hands, try to get ground ball.
Tying run at third and one out. Santos lifts it to right. Frank Kirk chasing back. He gets there. Tagging at third is Tatis. He can walk in to score the tying run. Well, there Santos comes through again. Sacrifice fly, and the Mets get even at one.
Boy, every single game, Keith, Omir Santos does something to help this Mets ball club win a game.
Well, it's when you want, there's a sinker that just came back over the middle. When you need a sacrifice fly, you don't try to pull. That was a ball he could have drove either the left center field gap, and you just play for the one run. You got your ace on the mound who's been death and very stingy with the runs. Get your ball club tied. Nicely done.
So now Santana at the plate with 2 out and Reed at first. Johan grounded out to Kochman his first time up. Well, the Mets have gotten Santana even. That would be 13 runs in 7 starts now.
I'm still waiting for him to pop one. I'm telling you, Santana's going to get one this year.
It'll happen one of these days. Not on that pitch. It's 0-2.
Not if he keeps fishing for that sinker that's a little outside.
Well, Lowe's only given up 2 home runs so far this season, none to left-handed hitters.
Well, last year he gave up 14 home runs in 34 starts pitching for the Dodgers. Down to first base, and Kochman has it. And the race to the bag, Santana sprinting, and Kochman had to turn it on. But the Mets get even. Tatis and Reed with back-to-back hits to set the table. And then Santos with the sacrifice fly, and we'll start from scratch. We go to the 6th. Mets and Braves tied at 1. Field. Seems as though every time Santana has been matched up against an opposing team's ace this year, it has come off as advertised. Mets haven't been able to hit the other team's ace, and Santana, well, he's been pitching a gem every time out. 1-1 as we start the 6th. Brian McCann leads off. He's 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes the changeup for a strike. McCann hit a hot shot down to first that Tatis did well to handle his last time up. I would think that's going to be a tough adjustment especially for a catcher in the middle of the season to all of a sudden start wearing glasses when you've never done that before on a baseball field. And he struck him out. 3 pitches, and Santana gets McCann. That's 6 for Santana. 1 out and nobody on. Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin back in the chair. New York State Smokers quit line game rate. Yes, that's Carl Pavano, 5 shutout innings for the Indians tonight. They could use a win from anybody available. Cleveland 11-21 to start the year. Now Diaz takes inside 1-1.
I saw Pavano throw 5 scoreless in Yankee Stadium. You've never seen a man hated as much as he's hated in that ballpark. Whoa.
Hit hard, base hit for Diaz. His second hit of the night. Murphy gets over to grab it as Diaz takes the wide turn, and that's 6 hits now off Santana, but the first since the 3rd inning.
Just stayed hardly any stride. Diaz is a little unorthodox hitter.
What was interesting there, Keith? David was really on the line.
Figuring Diaz to pull the change.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Probably the place to be.
So now Kochman, who's taken a call 3rd strike and fouled out to the catcher. 90th pitch of the night for Santana, and swung and missed.
You know, he might not have his fastball, but he's got his best slider of the year so far. Getting some awkward swings from the left-handed hitters.
Well, that's the 4th slider he's thrown to Kochman, and this is the 3rd at bat. So my feeling is that they know that Kochman's a fastball hitter.
Coming off a big day in Philadelphia yesterday with 3 hits and 3 RBIs.
Well, I tell you what, fortunate for Kochman that Santana threw to first, because that wave came around the stadium, and right when he was ready to break from the belt, they stood up in center field. That would have drove me bananas.
I wonder if the fans could time that. 1-1. Not in foul.
Pitcher could.
That's a good point.
That's good. Yes.
Hold the baseball until the wave gets to just the right spot.
Remember the old days in Wrigley Field, when they used to allow those people to sit in the center field bleachers?
Right. Yep. And all the white t-shirts.
All the white, couldn't see the ball.
You see the black batter's eye in center field with the apple right in the middle. I don't think you can see the apple, though, from home plate. 1-2. Fisted foul.
Good pitch. Fastball in. Threw a dart in there, Ronnie.
Yeah,
made sure he wasn't going to miss. Fought off nicely by Kochman. And this is the type of pitcher right here. Santana obviously is a hitter. You don't want to be behind the count.
1-2 to Kochman with 1 out. In the dirt, and Santos blocks it, and Diaz almost got caught in between.
Beautiful block right there. This was no easy play.
This ball bounces before the plate.
Oh, that's a tough one. Beautiful. Used his body. Nicely done.
The old 55-foot curveball.
Hank Greenberg used to announce the TV for the Warriors. And Rick Barry takes a 20-foot jumper, goes 15.
Santana down on his hands and knees there. Now the 2-2, and Kochman fouls it off.
You know what they teach all the young catchers when they make those blocks, especially when the ball that bounces before the play like that, you have to watch the ball, keep your head down, because you want to keep your chin so it doesn't get exposed. If you look away, that's when you expose your neck. Adam's apple.
Ryan McCann looking on, understanding fully. Again, the 2-2. Inside,
ouch.
did it hit him? They got
Yes,
his hand.
it did.
And now they're going to ask the third base umpire whether he offered at it, and Tim McClellan says he did not. And so Kochman goes to first, and this will draw an argument from Jerry Manuel, who's going to say Kochman swung at the pitch.
No, I don't think so. He was trying to get out of the way. No way. Ouch.
Well, unlike the other day, Greg Gibson did ask Tim McClellan, the third base umpire, right away, did he swing at it? McClellan said no.
Now the concern is for Kochman on that left hand. first batter that Santana has hit this season.
That is something that in the day, Gary, Keith will tell you, you would never see happen. Anything that was inside, guys would turn their front shoulder in and probably take that on the numbers. But instead, opened up.
Ouch, you heard that sound. Oh well.
So many little bones in that hand.
The hazards of the game. Got the Coors Light freeze can.
It wasn't painful enough. We're going to really show how painful it can be.
Oh, wow. So it got his bottom hand, it looked like, didn't it?
Yes, left hand.
That looks like his right hand. Oh, no, you're right. He took his glove off. And I tell you something. That's tough putting that glove back on.
He might have hurt the right hand as well.
But he might have gotten both.
The left got the primary blow, but it might have caught both. I'll be satisfied Kochman can at least stay in the run, and we'll see what happens after he comes in after the inning.
It's one of those injuries that hurts the rest of the game.
So now Frank Kerr with a runner in scoring position. Diaz at second, Kochman at first, and one out. Frank Kerr has struck out and fly to center. And Frank Kerr up there swinging, and he lifts one to left field. Murphy drifting to the line, and that's the second out. Well, I'll tell you what, he is just swinging at absolutely everything. The numbers from Elias tell us that he swings at 49% of first pitches that he sees. That's the second highest percentage in the league.
Oh, that's a pitch to swing. It's a changeup. Oh boy, look at that look.
I'm telling you, it's demonic.
It's biting his lower lip. But he just got out in front. But it was a changeup inside, Ron, and that would be a pitch to go after.
And it's absolutely a pitch that you counter a first ball fastball hitter. Take a little off, throw a change.
Now Schaefer with 2 out and 2 on. He takes ball one.
Schaefer, we said, has been struggling, and with men in scoring position, he is 2 for 24.
And total pitches 97 now through 5 2/3. He's also thrown last 15 batters 12 first pitch strikes. Just missed on Schaefer.
2-0 to Schaefer. Diaz at second and Kochman at first, and you see Kochman still moving his hands around. Santana facing Schaefer, knowing that Lowe is going to bat. Does that change your game plan a little bit?
Well, you definitely don't want to give him pitch a hit, but Schaefer is an out. I mean, you feel like he's an out right now.
And he pops one up. Easy for Murphy. So Santana, after a base hit and a hit backspin, gets the 2 fly balls from Frank Kerr and Schaefer. He is through 6. Mets on the top of the batting order coming up with the game tied at 1.
the Mets management gave New Yorkers something else they've always treasured.
Hello, Willie. It's great to have you back where you belong. The Shea Stadium scoreboard tells it all.
Great trivia questions in Mets history.
That's cool.
Who did the Mets trade to the Giants to get Charlie Williams? To get Willie Mays? The answer. I gave it away. There you go. It's this date's in Mets history, presented by Pepsi Throwback. Get down with the refreshingly retro flavor of Pepsi Throwback.
Wow.
Charlie Williams. Yep, his greatest claim to fame. He was traded for Willie Mays. Top of the batting order, Jose Reyes leads off in a 1-1 game. And takes a strike from Derek Lowe. Reyes is lined to center and walk 0 for 1.
I was traded for Lou Mazzilli. And you were traded for who? Rick Ombie and Neil Allen?
Yes.
They'll come to the Mets?
Line to center field. Will it stay up for Schaefer? It will. And that's the first out. Reyes again hitting it well to center.
Well, if you're a pitcher, that is a huge out. When you got anytime you got Jose Reyes leading off, you got to keep him off the bases.
So now Castillo, who's walked and grounded into a double play, 0 for 1. There's a strike.
Boy, the corners are in tight for both corners for the Braves. Really tight at third with Prado. Louis, of course, a great bunter.
Two and 1 to Castillo with Beltran to follow.
Oh, took a little off that little sinker there, Ronnie.
He did. He turned it over just a little more. Out in front is Castillo.
Castillo came into the day 9th in the National League in batting. He bounces this one to Johnson. And Lowe with another ground ball out, 2 away. Eleven ground balls have produced 13 outs for Derek Lowe tonight.
Just does not throw a ball over the knees. Knees and lower.
Well, we stand 6'6". Is it harder for a taller guy to keep the ball down?
You know, having a good sinker is kind of an innate ability. You can teach anyone to throw a ball that will sink, but having a real good one kind of is innate. It's a late, sharp movement on the fastball.
Beltran has one of the Mets' 3 hits tonight. Single to right his last time up.
Especially the guys the guys with the good hard sinkers come over the top. And they get that late hard bite.
Well, Mike Pelfrey's a tall guy.
Almost every pitcher has one side of the ball they're good on. Pelfrey's stays on the inside of the baseball. That's why it's sinks. Same with Lowe. A guy that would be on the outside of the baseball would be a guy like you mentioned before, Al Leiter, someone that the ball comes into the right-handers.
So Pelfrey going through the charts there. He'll be on the mound tomorrow night.
Going through the scouting reports.
Sitting next to the veteran too, Livan Hernandez. That's a guy to bounce ideas off of.
He's making a little bit of a mess of that ball.
It's chewing that gum like there's no tomorrow.
Boy, it's one of my pet peeves. My kids get the newspaper in the morning and they don't put it back the way it came.
I got that problem. Beltran lifts one to left field, chasing Diaz back a few strides. And that ends the inning. Mets go down 1-2-3 before Derek Lowe in the bottom of the 6th. On to the 7th. Santana and Lowe, Mets and Braves still tied up.
We're in the pinstripes too, or they're not in the pinstripes today.
Derek Lowe leads off the 7th inning, and he takes ball 1 from Santana. Well, it's got to be since '95 because that's when the division series started. Lowe has one of the 6 hits off Santana today, singled back in the 2nd. Santana began this inning with 100 pitches. He has not thrown more than 109 in a game this year. That came 2 starts back against Florida. And now he's behind on the opposing pitcher, 3-0, leading off the 7th inning. So the Mets are going to keep the bullpen busy behind Santana, who has not worked more than 7 innings in a game. Bobby Parnell, first man up. There's a strike. In fact, no Met starting pitcher has worked more than 7 innings in a game this year. You see Lowe and Santana, same number of wins since '02, although that's not quite fair to Santana since he was a relief pitcher part of that time.
Since 2004, right. Santana has all the numbers, whether it's innings pitched, ERA, strikeouts, and wins.
90 wins since 2004, the most in the majors. 3-2 to Lowe. And it's popped up behind first base. Tatis trailing back, having trouble with it, but stays with it for the out. 1 away. And there are those numbers since 2004. First in wins, ERA, strikeouts, opponent's batting average. He has simply been the best pitcher in baseball, and the Mets are thrilled to have him. 2nd year of a 6-year contract. And, 6-year contracts are crapshoots for pitchers, but so far he's been worth more than every penny. Here's Kelly Johnson, who's 0 for 3. And he takes a strike. Johnson has flied out twice and struck out. 1-1 game. We're in the 7th. Broken bat liner, and Johnson has a base hit. The 7th hit of the night for the Braves, a 1-out single in the 7th. So now with Junel Escobar coming up, Jerry Manuel's on his way out to the mound, and that's going to be all for Johan Santana. So Santana goes 6 1/3, throws 108 pitches, and Jerry has said often early this season he does not want Santana going past 110 this early in the year. Maybe later on in the season, but he's going to protect his ace. And so Santana will not get a win today, and Bobby Parnell will come into a tie game in the 7th inning. On a day he didn't have his best stuff, Santana has not allowed an earned run, although he's responsible for the man at first base as he takes his leave. Bobby Parnell on trying to keep this game tied in the 7th. Pitching change brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Bobby Parnell comes on to face Yudel Escobar with the go-ahead run at first and 1 out. Kelly Johnson, the base runner. Johan Santana done for the night. The only run against him was in the first inning. It was unearned. He can't win tonight. He could lose if Johnson were to come around and score. But Parnell has been outstanding this year. Broken bat bloop, and that's going to drop into right field for a base hit. Boxed around by Reed, but no advance as Johnson stops at second. So first pitch Parnell throws. He shatters Escobar's bat, and Escobar, who had 2 infield hits earlier, is now 3 for 3.
Well, the blazing fastball in just ties him up. But sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Ronnie.
Yep.
And fortunately for the Mets, it was in nowhere's land, and Johnson really couldn't get a read to go to third base and advance into the scoring position there.
So now 2 on for Martin Prado, who has singled, sacrificed, and grounded out 1 for 2. It's only the 3rd time this year that Parnell's been asked to come in with runners on base. Here's your IO pitch differential.
Well, the sign really was down the middle, but that ball ran in on the inside corner. Escobar.
Better pitch.
Yeah, better pitch than Santos wanted. It still didn't work out.
On the outside corner, 95-mile-an-hour blazer, 1-1, and perpetual Pedro Feliciano gets up in the bullpen.
Poor Pedro, he's going to be very tired. He's going to need the All-Star break.
Well, he was in 86 games last year, and it looks like he may be set to break that this year.
He's on a pace for 100 games.
1-1 to Prado. Johnson dancing off second, trying to draw Parnell's attention, and Prado finally asks for time.
If you're a pitcher out there, always go through with your pitch, throw it to the plate, just in case the umpire does not call timeout. Because if you do that and he didn't call timeout, it's a balk.
Seen that happen more than a few times.
You can also hurt your arm that way, can't you?
Yeah. Good chance of throwing up and in. We saw Beckett do that already this year.
Yep. Prado fouls it away. 1-2.
Prado helped him out there, swinging at a bad pitch. And he's mad at himself. Up and in. Tough to lay off.
Hard throwing North Carolina native Bobby Parnell.
Look at that.
Don't drop it. One, two. In the dirt with the slider. 2-2.
Nice block by Santos.
Johnson, the go-ahead run at second. Escobar at first. The Braves have 8 hits in this game. But they've cashed just the 1 unearned run for Derek Lowe. Santana out after 6 1/3. Lowe has thrown only 80 pitches. He'll be out there throwing in the bottom of the inning. 2-2. Popped it up in center field. Beltran. 2 out.
You know, I've seen enough of Parnell now, Gary, Ron, where he gets a lot of outs with that high fastball upstairs. You get that life upstairs like John Maine.
Well, Parnell's been a starting pitcher most of his career, learning how to pitch out of the bullpen and doing it mostly with fastballs. That'll be his only assignments for the night. Now we'll see the lefty. Feliciano will come on to face Brian McCann. So the Mets trying to piece together the 7th. Parnell exits. Feliciano will come on. Braves with 2 on. Game tied at 1. The answer to our Aflac trivia question, the only pitcher to win the final game of the DS, LCS, and World Series? Well, that would be Derek Love. With the Red Sox in 04.
I saw him pitch that final game in St. Louis. Outstanding.
So Pedro Feliciano comes on to face Brian McCann. 2 out and 2 on, tie game, 7th inning, and McCann takes the breaking ball for a strike.
Pedro so far this year has retired 13 of the first 17 batters he's faced in these games. Lefties are only hitting $161.
McCann 0 for 3 tonight, and he chases that breaking ball and fouls it off 0-2.
Get ahead, expand the strike zone.
Johnson at second, Escobar at first, and 2 down. McCann's done well against Feliciano in the past, 5 out of 14. Santana noting that that's his one out at second base.
Pedro and Santos taking some time to get together on this pitch.
A lot of times as a hitter, when a pitcher in a tight spot shakes off 2 or 3 pitches, you just kind of step out just to reshuffle the deck.
Yeah.
0-2. Little tapper past the mound. Reyes right at the bag. Will have to go to first, but he boots it. And the bases are loaded. Reyes perhaps thinking about where he was going to go with that ball. And he commits the error to load the bases.
Well, routine right here for Jose, and just didn't quite get in front. He got in front, but I think there was a little bit of indecision. I think you're right, Gary, what he was going to do with it. Maybe a little concerned about whether it was going to get over the bag, hit the bag. But fortunately, Luis Castillo backing him up, because that would have been a run.
Well, the Mets have a right-hander. Brian Stokes up in the bullpen, but Feliciano's going to stay on to face Matt Diaz, who chews up left-hand pitching. Bases loaded, 2 out. Diaz 2 for 3 tonight. And he takes low for ball 1. A solid single by Kelly Johnson with 1 out. Then the broken bat hit by Escobar against Parnell. Now the error by Reyes filling the bases in an inning that should have been over. 1-0. And Diaz takes wide, and now Feliciano behind 2-0. Johnson the lead run at third, Escobar at second, and McCann at first.
2 outs, bases loaded, 2-0. Can't get a better place to hit than this, right, Keith?
And out goes pitching coach Dan Warthen. As a hitter right now, we were a base hit. Gary just wins the ball and puts you ahead late. You don't want to do too much. You got a side arming sinker baller out there, and your odds are he's going to try to get a little sinker ball away for a strike and just take it to the opposite field. Take it right into over the second baseman's head, RBI single. If it gets into the 2 RBI single, if it gets in the gap, you got 3 runs in. Don't try to pull. If he throws you inside, take it.
Feliciano's had a little bit of success against Diaz, who's just 1 for 5 against him. But for his career, Diaz 328 against lefties. And he got it inside on him, and it's 2-1.
Little cutter run? Little cutter, and he kept it down, which was a good pitch.
Cutter, and not a good pitch to swing at.
Diaz is a better high ball hitter.
But Diaz is an aggressive hitter.
It's not been a great start for Diaz this year after missing much of last year with injury. 2-1. Line drive, base hit, and the Braves will take the lead. Johnson in to score. Here comes Escobar. Murphy's thrown to the plate, not in time. The runners move up to second and third. It's a 2-run single for Matt Diaz, and the Braves lead it 3-1. And that puts Johan Santana on the hook.
Although it'll be an unearned run, 2 unearned runs. That's another cutter he tried to throw, but he left it over the plate, Ronnie.
Middle of the plate there to Matt Diaz. We talked about he just eats up left-handers. Good jump off second base by Escobar. Watch this jump by Escobar. That's why he scored. And then Murphy made the mistake here. He throws it over David Wright's head, allows both runners to advance.
Now Casey Kochman lines a base into left center, and 2 more runs will score. McCann and Diaz both come home, and it's 5-1 Atlanta. And missing the cutoff man cost the Nets an extra run. So the error by Reyes prolonging the inning, and the Braves storm right through with 2-run singles by Diaz and Kochman, and it's a 4-run Atlanta 7th.
You know what an opposing team does when you take out the ace? Sigh of relief.
Yep.
Well, that's going to be all for Feliciano. Stokes will come on, perhaps a couple of batters too late. It's 5-1 Atlanta. p.m. It's a fast-paced roundtable discussion about the stories that matter most to you, the Mets, Yankees, and all things New York sports. Join Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5 p.m. right here on SNY. Casey Kochman's 2-run single, turning a 3-1 game into a 5-1 game.
He's looking away, gets a slider, and that's how you hit a breaking ball right over to the opposite field. Nicely done.
There's your IOTV pitch differential. Now Brian Stokes comes on to try and clean up the mess here in the 7th.
Well, Stokes in his 12th game, we talked about it. He was not in a game for 11 days, got some work, and now ready to go.
Jeff Francoeur, the 8th man up in the inning, and actually takes a first pitch for a strike. Francoeur 0 for 3 tonight. Very interesting managerial decisions by Jerry Manuel in this inning. He takes out Santana with 1 out and 1 on because he had reached 108 pitches. He brings in Parnell, who gives up a broken bat hit and gets a fly ball from Prado. Then he goes to the left-hander Feliciano to pitch to McCann. Gets the ground ball, but Reyes boots it for the air, but then he leaves Feliciano in to face Diaz, a guy who has historically torn up lefties.
Well, Jerry has talked about it, that the hard part for him during the course of the season is going to be finding enough work for some of those relievers. But the key for this team anyways is that their starters will do what they do. But the 8th and 9th are always taken care of. I mean, unless they can't pitch that day. So you have to fight through that 7th. And, when you're fighting through that 7th, he set a precedent of doing righty-lefty, righty-lefty. I'm surprised he didn't continue that.
One and 2 to Francoeur with Kochman at first and 2 out. Bounce foul. I mean, if you go back and look at the potential matchups in the inning, he had a choice of leaving Parnell in to face McCann, and he decided not to do that, but he opted to have Feliciano face Diaz.
Yeah, I like Parnell personally. I like him pitching the entire 7th inning or getting whatever outs because he can get lefties or righties out. But I do know that McCann is the best hitter in their lineup, okay? So you definitely want to bring your best left-hander to face McCann in that instance. But I know Diaz is struggling this year, but traditionally he just wears out lefties. That's who he plays against. That's how Bobby Cox plays them. That's when he wants to use him. And
well, it's the beauty of the game.
Yeah, it is.
Sit up here and you wonder why a manager makes a move. I mean, if Reyes makes that play, we're not even having this conversation.
You're right.
It's it's the beauties of the game. It's one of the great things of the game.
It's the rub of the game, right?
Yep.
I thought that was the rub of the green.
the vagaries of big league baseball.
Jordan Schaefer is on deck. All 5 runs that the Braves have scored tonight will go down as unearned runs. 1 in the first and now 4 here in the 7th. Hit hard, and that's a base hit for Frank Kerr. So Stokes is greeted with a 2-out hit, and the Braves just keep on rolling after that error. That's 3 straight hits since Reyes booted that ball to open the door.
And this will be the 9th hitter to bat this inning for the Bravos.
Schaefer tonight is 0 for 3, struck out, grounded out, flied out. He is now 0 for his last 23 with men on base.
2 for 25 on the year.
And he takes a fastball strike from Stokes.
See, that's a pitch he can't take. The only ball he can handle is that low pitch, Ronnie. Talking how he pulls off and drops that back shoulder. And he's a dead low ball hitter.
Bounced out to Reyes, who handles this one cleanly, gets the force play, but the Braves put up 4 unearned runs. They had 2 out and 2 on, a chance to get the inning over with, but Reyes unable to handle the ground ball by Brian McCann. That opened the door, and the Braves came storming through with hits by Diaz and Kochman to plate 4. And now the Mets are down 5-1, 7th inning stretch in Citi Field. Mets down 5-1. Time to look at a view from the Pepsi porch with Kevin Burkhardt.
T-shirt, guys. That's the view from the Pepsi porch, but someone behind me caught it. That's a good thing. You know, I'm sitting here watching the last inning, obviously a tough one for the Mets, and I'm wondering going forward now how the Braves and Derek Lowe, and if so, their bullpen reacts to pitching here in this ballpark, because there's a lot of talk last week about pitching to the ballpark strengths, throwing strikes, initiating contact. And I talked to Omar Santos and Ramon Castro, and they both said similar things. They said the difference here is you're not afraid to go fastball away late in counts. You can be aggressive. In a park like Philly where you nibble, you might go off speed in those situations. So, guys, we'll watch. I wonder if Derek Lowe and the Braves take advantage of that same strategy.
Lowe now has himself a 4-run lead as he takes the mound for the bottom of the 7th, and he's thrown only 80 pitches to this point.
Not to sound repetitious, but it's very critical for Lowe to run a goose egg. Whenever your team scores, the pitcher it's got to run a goose egg out there.
Well, the Mets, who had scored 32 runs in their last 4 games, have managed just 3 singles today. Right hits one dead center, and well, back goes Schaefer, going back, warning track, it's over his head. Hopping up against the wall. And David Wright pulls into second base with a first pitch double. 8th double of the year for David Wright, and the Mets' first extra base hit of the night.
Sinker, nicely done by Dave. Clears his body, his shoulders out. Off the short hop the wall. So gets good wood on it here, but this is a big ballpark that we're just talking about. Young Schaefer, a little bit of inexperience there. Peter Moylan's.
Here's Daniel Murphy, who's been up twice and grounded out both times. And he takes a breaking ball strike.
It's a very effective pitch against left-handers for Lowe. That backdoor slider, Ronnie.
Got to take it, right?
Yep.
It's trying to storm right back after giving up 4 in the top of the inning. And the sinker misses 1-1.
What happens is when you are watching your team score a lot of runs, that's the great part about it. The bad part is when you go out there, you have to make sure you have a real effective 8 or 9 pitch warm-up because you want to get that sensation back again.
One hopper right at Kelly Johnson. That'll move right over, but that's the first out of the inning.
Oh, that ball was ripped by Daniel. And once it leaves your bat, it's nothing you can do about it.
It's in the baseball god's hands after you hit it like that.
The old saying, hit them where they ain't.
So the first 2 hitters have struck the ball well against Lowe. And what about sitting for an inning with 3 pitching changes and 4 runs scoring?
Yeah, you have to make sure that you know when you're pitching in one of the close games, it really is so easy to stay in it mentally because you're out there every 15 minutes or so. But when you sit for a while, you got to make sure you keep going over the hitters. Who's your first guy up? What am I going to do to David Wright on the first pitch?
Is there a physical component to that too?
Absolutely, because like a racehorse. When you get a racehorse that has a great sweat and then you sit him down for a while, it's hard to restart it sometimes. Well, the same with athletes. You sit down there, you lose that sweat.
2-0 to Tatis, who scored the only Met run after singling to left in the 5th. Jeremy Reed on deck. There's a strike, 2-1.
I used to physically, if you had a real long inning and there were pitch changes, I'd go in the clubhouse and change my shirt. Change the undershirt and uniform top just to, change it up. Because the sweaty uniform would get kind of cold after a while.
Hit the other way. That'll get a run home, but Johnson with a nice play throws out Tatis. Wright comes in to score. That cuts the Braves lead to 5-2. Tatis picks up the RBI, his 4th of the year.
Well, nice hitting by Fernando there also. Just hit it hard right at him. I'm just telling you that Lowe has not made very many mistakes today. He has kept that ball down. He has moved the ball in and out. There's Raj.
Get a few ground ball outs too, couldn't
he? Yes, he could.
It was Jeremy Reed who chopped a single over Kochman's head to help build the first Met run. Lowe should have plenty left in the tank. About to throw his 90th pitch. He gets that slider over 0-2.
2 backdoor sliders. We're just talking about that pitch.
Jeremy Reed getting the start tonight. Jerry Manuel says he plans to start Reed tomorrow as well, just to get him a spate of at-bats. There have been so few for Reed this year.
Well, that's one thing that Jerry does well, and that is get his team involved. Whitey Herzog was the best at that with St. Louis. No one felt like they were just taking up space in the dugout.
And Reed lays off another one. It's 3-2. So Lowe, after getting ahead 2 strikes, has gone full with Santos on deck. Ryan Church getting another day off today, and far more of those than Ryan expected already this year. 3-2. And Reed bounces one foul. Did not run that ball out. It's awfully close to being fair.
I think from his angle, he probably saw that it was going to be foul. The one thing that Lowe does not want to do is issue a free pass. Yeah. Just here is a fastball. I've got 8 guys out there. And that ball was clearly foul. Took a big high hop, too.
Kochman was taking no chances. Again, the 3-2. Lifted to left, sending Diaz back, and it's over his head. An extra base hit for Jeremy Reed. Second double of the inning for New York. And Reed's first double of the year.
Well, this is what Reed showed in spring training, if you recall, Gary. He showed a lot of pop. And it's tough for him not playing every day.
Diaz very shallow.
Diaz has got to be playing a little more conservatively when you got to lead late. nothing over your head.
Bobby Cox often takes Diaz out of games for defense late with the lead. Now it looks like he's about to take Derek Lowe out of the game. He makes the sign of the bullpen. And so Lowe will exit after 6 2/3, and the side-arming Australian Peter Moylan will be coming in the game with Omar Santos due up. So Lowe is done for the evening. He will leave with a 5-2 lead, with the Mets trying to come back in the 7th. So both starters now out of the game. Derek Lowe leaves after only 95 pitches in 6 2/3. Leaves with the lead and hands it over to the side armor, Peter Moylan.
Pretty quick hook, wasn't it, for Derek Lowe there?
Yeah, I thought so.
Maybe because of that long time in between innings there where they were scoring. Peter Moylan, of course, from Australia, Australian right-hander. He's one of those guys that pitches every day also, but he hasn't pitched in 5 days. 9 walks. That's a lot of walks.
You see the batting averages against him? There, no one's getting hits, but he's got an ERA over 7.
Tim McClellan and Razor Shines in deep conversation.
I remember Tim McClellan when he had the big old Clint Eastwood mustache.
That's right.
He was the home plate umpire for the George Brett bat game.
Pine tar bat.
Our second George Brett reference tonight.
Never forget that moment, right? He raised his fist to call him out, and George came out of that dugout.
Start calling Gary George in a minute.
So now Omar Santos steps in. Santos had a sacrifice fly to drive in the first Met run. Reed at second and 2 down. A run home for the Mets in the 7th. They're down 5-2, and Santos takes a strike. Gary Sheffield out on deck. Ken Takahashi up in the bullpen. He's been money so far, Takahashi.
Throw strikes.
So if Santos can get on, the Mets can get Sheffield to the plate as the tying run. Chopped out to short for Escobar. And that does it for the Mets in the 7th inning. They get a run, but they still trail 5-2 as we head to the 8th at Citi Field. Citi Field on a Monday night. Mets 7-game winning streak in a bit of jeopardy as we head to the 8th inning. Here's the results of your Toyota Text Poll. What stat do you rely on most when judging pitchers? And 3/4 of you go right to the ERA. Well,
I'm inclined to agree out of those 3 stats.
Well, the ERA for Johan Santana after tonight's performance, 0.78. What does that tell you? Rafael Soriano up in the bullpen, and Greg Norton pinch hitting. Lines the first pitch into left for a base hit against Brian Stokes. So the Braves have the leadoff man on in the 8th. And Norton has just his 3rd hit of the season in 21 at-bats.
Well, he has been their main guy off the bench, left-handed. Now 3 for 21 as a pinch hitter.
Now Kelly Johnson, who got the 4-run 7th going. He was the last man Santana faced. He singled to center on Santana's 108th pitch. Johan exited. Johnson came around to score. And that unearned run has Santana in line for a loss. There goes Norton. The pitch swung and grounded right through the vacated hole. Perfect hit and run play. And Norton goes to 3rd. And the Braves have runners at the corners with nobody out. Well executed by Johnson.
Crafty Bobby Cox, right, Keith?
Yeah, well, take advantage. You got to lead right here. First ball, make it happen. I always love the hit and run. It's kind of a lost art. And that's it. Look at Reyes has to vacate. It's right where he was. That is textbook hit and run.
And if you don't, that's a double play.
Textbook.
So Bobby Cox looking to tack on here in the 8th inning. 1st and 3rd and nobody out on just 2 pitches by Stokes. And now Escobar has been up 4 times and been on base every time. 2 infield hits, a broken bat hit, and a walk. And he's 3 for 3. And the Mets have to shorten up at 2nd and short. As Escobar takes low for ball 1.
You can see the middle infielders. Castillo kind of came in a little bit. He's going to push back. You can't really call that halfway. It's more in than halfway.
What do they, Keith? If the ball is hit
sharply, they'll
double play. Not really. You got to.
They want to have a shot if the ball's hit. If the ball's not hit sharply, they want to have a shot to throw the runner out home.
Well, if you're the runner at 3rd, you've got to go on contact to force them to throw home.
You are ahead 5-3. This is a contact play for 3rd base. Good eye by Escobar. Really up on his front foot, on his toes. We'll take a peek next time, right before. Takahashi getting up.
You got McCann 2 batters away. That's why Takahashi's getting ready.
Watch his front foot on his toes, balls of his feet.
And a chopper. Castillo will have to go to 2nd and get the out there, and that's all as a run comes in. So the hit and run play pays dividends, and it's now 6-2 Atlanta. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. Now Martin Prado steps in. Prado 1 for 3 and a sacrifice. The Braves have tacked on a run here in the 8th and lead 6-2.
Don't think that even Bobby Cox might put the hit and run on again because Prado's that kind of hitter.
Hit hard down to 3rd, should be 2. Wright gets the out at 2nd. Castillo double play. 5-4-3 to end the inning. But the Braves using the hit and run to perfection, tack on a run. And now the Mets are again 4 runs down heading for the bottom of the 8th. Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda will be on hand right here on SNY, as they are after every Mets game this season. Mets trying to avoid having their 7-game winning streak come to an end, and we'll hear all the reaction from the Mets clubhouse after the game on Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Then tomorrow, 6:30, the coverage on SNY. Your Chivas probable pitchers, Mike Pelfrey against Jair Jurgens, who has pitched to a 2.01 ERA. He's been the best the Braves have had.
He's got a little of a Santana problem because he's got those 2 losses to show for it. Rafael Soriano in for the game. Only pitched in 14 games last season in 08. Had reconstructive surgery on his elbow and a bone spur removed, and he's been outstanding so far this year for Bobby Cox.
And was called upon to get the save yesterday for Atlanta. Alex Cora will pinch hit as we start the bottom of the 8th. Bobby did things a little differently yesterday. Mike Gonzalez has generally been his closer, and Soriano his 8th inning guy. But against the Phillies yesterday, because they had the left-handed bats coming up in the 8th, he used Gonzalez to set up Soriano. And you see very few managers these days willing to do that with their 8th and 9th inning guys.
Well, in that ballpark, you got to sometimes manage to the ballpark and have so much power from the left side.
Cora hitting at .313. He's done a terrific job backing up on the infield, and he takes a strike 1 and 2. Reyes and Castillo to follow here in the bottom of the 8th. Mets have been out hit in this game 13-5, and if they do not rally in this game, this will already be the 2nd time this season that Santana will have not allowed an earned run and lost.
That's right.
The game in Florida.
Florida, 2 unearned runs in that game, right?
There's 2 more tonight.
Well, and Santana came into this game with a .91 earned run average, and that was lowered
down to .78.
How are you 4-2?
Exactly.
Well, he's not 4-2 yet.
That's true.
They got 6 outs to
That's
play
true.
with.
Excuse me.
Well, the funny thing is that .78 ERA isn't even the best in the majors.
Greinke's lower, right?
He's .51, and he lost his last game. He lost 1-0 to the Angels and Joe Son.
What is he, 6-1?
Yeah. Two and 2 to Cora. And a full count to Alex. Trying to get on to lead off this 8th inning. Reyes has hit the ball hard twice tonight without a base hit. Waiting to hit next. Derek Lowe went 6 2/3, allowed 2 runs and 5 hits. He's pitcher of record on the long side. Peter Moylan got the final out in the 7th. Now Soriano. And Cora stays alive. Hey, you guys both have adult kids, right?
Yes.
I got 2 more adult kids today.
Oh, that's right. Your twins turned 18, right?
Trevor and Kira both turned 18 today.
Wow.
Congratulations.
And things will never be the same.
You're setting them off to college, right?
Yeah.
It's the Gary Cohn College Fund.
Over short, and Cora's got himself a pinch hit single.
Oh, nice at bat by Alex. Continues to shine. What a pickup for the Mets. Nice hitting. Just out over the outstretched glove of Escobar.
Nice ups by Escobar, but he was unable to get high enough. The umpires looking out toward right field. I'm not sure what they're pointing out there to. Whatever it is, they've resolved it. And now Reyes will step in against Soriano. Reyes has twice lined to center field and walked 0 for 2, and he takes a strike.
Well, taking a page out of Derek Lowe right there, Ronnie, throwing that little get me over all speed slider on the outside corner.
Distant foul. 94 on the fastball, and it's 0-2.
That's the best fastball he's thrown.
Well, the Braves bullpen lately has started to kick it into gear after a miserable start to their season. See what they did early, and then lately they've really done well.
Really, since the trade of Blaine Boyer to St. Louis Cardinals.
Mr. Delgado on the bench there, the hip acting up again.
First base umpire Andy Fletcher just went over to the Mets dugout. There's a flag hanging over the outfield fence in right field, and that is what has caught the umpire's attention. They want that flag removed.
It's by the E and the Models.
There it is, hanging on that orange line. They're afraid that if a ball's hit out there, they won't be able to see whether it's a home run. So
let's go, Merv. Take the flag out.
0-2 to Reyes. And he swings and misses at the slider. And Soriano has the first out in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's 3 pitches right there. 8-pitch Jose. I mean, that's down in a side session. Your pitching coach is going beautiful.
Yeah,
textbook.
That's perfect.
Jeez, backdoor slider, this 0-1, a fastball up and in, 0-2, then a hard down and in slider.
So now Castillo, who's 0 for 2 and a walk, with Correa at first and 1 out. And Louis takes high for ball 1. Taking all the way, and it's 2-0.
And he should be taking here, too, down 4 runs with your Bombers coming up behind him. You see the infield corner there. Martin Prado having to respect the bunting ability of Castillo. And there's the league leading hitter right there in the on-deck circle.
Castillo's never had a hit against Soriano, 0 for 5. And that's low, and now Soriano behind 3-0. He'll take the next one, and he might take the next 2.
I believe so.
Soriano only has 6 walks on the season so far to go with his 21 punch-outs.
And he throws a strike, 3-1.
Soriano's got a very fluid motion, huh, Ronnie? Effortless.
Especially a guy coming back from reconstructive elbow surgery.
See if Louis takes a pitch on 3-1, and he does, and it's a strike. That's what Louis does. And he works the count full. He has a lower percentage of swings than any player in the National League.
That'll move Prado back at third base.
And he fouls it away.
Soriano can put you asleep with that beautiful motion of his. He's got some serious gas.
He made a really good point there, though. 3-1, Louis is not swinging the bat. So with 2 strikes, the third baseman goes back, takes some of that hole away.
Yeah, it does. He does.
He'd have more opening on the 3-1 count.
Again, the 3-2, and he struck him out. Soriano dialing it up. Fans Castillo, back-to-back strikeouts, 2 away.
Upstairs. Wow, that's some cheddar. He just beat him big time.
So he came back from 3-0 to get Castillo, and now it's Beltran's turn. Carlos tonight 1 for 3, single to right back in the 4th. Mets offense has been stymied tonight after 4 straight big offensive games. They had 7 in their last game against the Phillies, then 7, 10, and 8 the last 3 days against the Pirates. And again, Soriano's behind 2-0. David Wright hitting cleanup tonight on deck. Delgado not in the lineup, but he is available to pinch hit if it gets to that point. Two 2-0 to Beltran, and he takes high, 3-0. Soriano at least opening the door. And you know, Beltran's a guy who loves to swing 3-0. You want him doing that here, down by 4 runs?
No, definitely not. I let him swing 3-1. Roger McDowell, pitching coach for the Braves.
Ryan Church staying ready in case he's needed. 3-0 to Beltran, and he takes a strike. Soriano's already thrown 22 pitches to 4 batters in this inning. He's worked deep counts. He gave up the leadoff hit to Cora, but Cora's still pinned to first now with 2 out.
Let her rip.
3-1 to Beltran, and he does let it rip. And it's 3-2.
Wow. Ronnie, when he's upstairs, he's got some giddy up.
That's the same pitch that he struck Castillo out on.
Frankie Rodriguez, who hasn't pitched the last 3 days, up in the Mets bullpen. 3-2, and Beltran reaches for one and skies it to left. Over goes Diaz to reel it in, and that retires the side. Beltran swinging at ball 4, and the Mets are turned away in the 8th inning. On to the 9th. Still 6-2 Atlanta. On SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Geico. By Audi. By Firestone. By Honda. And by Citi. 9th inning, Ken Takahashi deals to Brian McCann, who takes the breaking ball for ball 1.
Well, Takahashi was outstanding 2 days ago. 2 innings against the Pirates, 2 strikeouts, no runs. Hasn't given up anything yet.
And the one thing that has impressed Jerry Manuel, and certainly will affect the way he uses Takahashi, is that so far he's looked good not only against the lefties, but against the righties as well. McCann rips the fastball down the right field line. That'll land fair in the corner. And McCann has himself an extra base hit. So McCann, who had gone 0 for 4 to that point, picks up his 4th double of the year.
Oh, pretty good hitting right there, right in the corner. That corner we can't see, and it is fair by a foot. Seeing is believing.
Saw that. So now Matt Diaz, who is 3 for 4 tonight. It was Diaz's 2-run single in the 7th inning that snapped the tie and gave the Braves the lead. And he's late on that fastball, 0-1.
Diaz trying to go the opposite field to advance the runner right there.
Takahashi, the 5th Met pitcher of the night. Santana went 6 1/3, allowed 7 hits and 2 unearned runs. A walk, 6 strikeouts, and a hit batsman. And again, Diaz unable to move it to the right side, fouls it off. Bobby Parnell worked a third of an inning, allowed a hit and an unearned run. Pedro Feliciano faced 3 batters, retired none of them, gave up 2 unearned runs. And then Brian Stokes gave up the only earned run the Mets have been charged with tonight. And for Stokes, that's the first earned run he's allowed this season.
Remarkable. I did not know that. I should be paying attention. You're right, Gary.
I bet you knew it all along.
13 1/3 innings, 1 run now.
1-2 to Diaz, with Casey Kochman to follow. Kochman seems to have suffered no ill effects after getting whacked on his hand by that Santana pitch back in the 6th.
He got the big hit, that 2 RBI single back that drove in the back end of those 4 runs.
Well, Diaz pulls the ball. That means McCann has to hold, and that's the first out. So 1 away. And now Kochman, who is 1 for 3 on the night. Kochman drove in 8 runs in the first 5 games of this road trip for the Braves. So it's now 10 runs in 6 games. So he's having a nice trip. Braves won 4 out of 5 in Florida and Philadelphia and leading tonight. Mets were hoping when the night began to take the first 3 games of the year from Atlanta, something they have not done in 20 years. 1989, the last time the Mets won the first 3 games of the year from the Braves. Up the middle, and Kochman has another base hit. McCann will be held at third, and the Braves have runners at the corners with 1 out. So I guess Kochman's hand is feeling even better. He's 2 for 2 since getting plunked.
He was having a big night, and I don't know what McCann was thinking there. He hesitated advancing to third on that single. I don't know if he would have scored, but the ball's hit to the left. You see how he looked back? Whenever the ball's hit to the left of the shortstop, you advance to third no matter what. And he doesn't run well enough. He probably wouldn't have scored.
Maybe it's the glasses.
Do you think they fogged up on him?
Maybe. Here's Frank Kerr. The infield comes in with 1st and 3rd and 1 out. Frank Kerr had a base hit his last time up, 1 for 4 on the day. This ballpark is really cleared out. It's a little chilly, and the Mets are trailing in the 9th, and a lot of people have gone home. And Takahashi falls behind Frank Kerr, 2-0.
Santos all game long has been outstanding on the ball. Usually you like to see your catcher try to get that in his body, but he was able to get it in the glove.
In the air to center field. That should produce a run as McCann tags at third. Beltran gets behind it so he can get a throw away, but the throw misses everything, goes all the way to the backstop. Not only does the run score, but Kochman easily goes to second. And it's 7-2 Atlanta. Frank Kerr with the sacrifice fly, his 19th RBI.
Well, I don't know what Carlos was letting it loose here, and boy, did he lose control of that. And that's got to be an error in the throw here to advance the runner to second.
No, they're just going to call it second on the throw.
Well, can't say that's a good throw. It's a rare bad throw from Carlos.
So now Jordan Schaefer, who is the only Braves starter without a hit tonight. He's gone 0 for 4. The Braves have 15 hits in this game. And Takahashi starts him off with a curveball that I think Santos was crossed up on. What language are they speaking?
That is a very good point.
Balls and strikes language. That's what they're talking about.
That pitcher's code.
Yes.
Maybe you can teach that to us sometime.
Got to be part of the fraternity, Gary.
You mean you could tell me, but you'd have to kill me?
Yeah, so even Keith's not, he can't get in on that.
All the way to the backstop. I'm not sure if that one crossed him up as well, but Santos didn't come close to it. And the wild pitch moves Kochman to third.
Did you see that ball come off the back? It's the world's most expensive pitch back here.
That hit the concrete and came all the way back on a fly in fair territory.
Definitely something to be aware of with a runner at third. Well, I think Santos and Takahashi have to get on the same page. Here's the 2-0 to Schaefer, and that misses wide 3-0. So Takahashi gets touched up for the first time since coming to the major leagues as the world's oldest rookie. Omar Infante out on deck to pinch hit if Schaefer keeps the inning going. And he takes a strike, 3-1. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have Wright, Murphy, and Tatis coming up. This was a 1-1 game heading to the seventh. Buddy Carlisle up to the in the Braves bullpen. Braves now leading 7-2. And there's ball 4, and Schaefer's aboard. It's the 23rd walk that Schaefer has drawn. He's done a lot of striking out and a lot of walking. So now Infante comes up to pinch hit. Infante has been getting a lot of playing time early in the season, sharing second base with Kelly Johnson. And why not? He's hitting .329. So now the veteran Infante against Takahashi, and he takes a strike. The Marlins and the Phillies are both off tonight. So the Mets will remain in the lead in the National League East regardless of the outcome of this game.
Nationals are playing San Francisco, Gary, later.
And in that game, Zimmerman goes for 29 straight games. Base hit into center field for Infante, chasing Kochman home. Schaefer goes first to third, and the Braves add to their lead. It's now 8-2.
Well, it's kind of all falling apart here as a slide. Oh, a little turnover, almost like a screwball. Nice hitting right there.
Dan Warthen calling for the next arm as Takahashi struggles. He's given up 3 hits and a walk. 2 runs have scored in the ninth. Now Kelly Johnson is 2 for 5 tonight. The Braves now have 16 hits in the game. And Johnson takes a strike. The Phillies open a series at home tomorrow night against the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers might be happy to leave L.A. I mean, they went 13-0 there to begin the season, but with the developments of the last week, they're probably better off going on the road. All the way 0-2.
Boy, this game is like 2 games, isn't it? There's the one game where Lowe and Santana pitched. Sean Green gets warmed up. And then the game after they were both out of the game. Really has changed the tempo of it.
Well, the game turned on the Reyes error with 2 out in the 7th. The ground ball that Reyes couldn't handle off McCann's bat, and that opened the door for a 4-run 7th. And the Braves have been going through that door ever since. Johnson sends one out to Murphy in left field. That ends the inning. But the Braves tack on 2 in the top of the ninth. And the Mets now 3 outs away from having their 7-game winning streak come to an end. field. Mets-Braves coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30, only on SNY. Braves have not needed Chipper tonight against the Mets bullpen. Now Buddy Carlisle comes on to try and get the final 3 outs for Atlanta.
Went on this blowout here. Buddy Carlisle's going to get the 9th inning. You see his ERA is high, but it's been coming down. He's been pitching much better of late.
It'll be David Wright, Daniel Murphy, and Fernando Tatis in the bottom of the 9th. Derek Lowe stands to win this game. He went 6 2/3, allowed 2 runs and 5 hits. Johan Santana stands to lose it despite not giving up an earned run. He allowed 2 unearned runs and 7 hits over 6 1/3. Wright is 1 for 3, doubled to the center field fence and scored a run in the 7th inning. And he takes the first pitch high from Carlisle for ball 1.
These are those at bats, Gary, that I always talk about. Late in the game, you're down, and it's easy to give up the at bat.
Something got loose on the warning track in right field, and Jeff Francoeur going to retrieve it, which is why we have a stoppage. He tried to toss it into the stands and came up short.
It's the same people that had the flag, same crew.
So the security guard does the honors.
Got a new T-shirt.
I have to make my point again real quickly. Is these are the bats you can give up, and these are the ones you really got to bear down and really work hard to get another hit. Be greedy.
Daniel Murphy on deck, and Wright takes a strike. 2-1. Braves bullpen has done the job tonight. Moylan got the only man to face him in the 7th. Soriano worked around a leadoff hit in the 8th. And now Carlisle in the 9th. And Wright grounds one over the bag. Backhanded by Prado. The throw in the dirt. Scoops by Kochman. And Wright will hold at first base. In a different circumstance, maybe he tries to take an extra base, but down by 6 runs, no need.
It's not a very good play by Prado here, throwing on the run. He had time to plant and throw. And instead he throws on the run. Doesn't it look like he kind of got his spikes caught here.
Yeah.
So the Mets have a leadoff base runner. That'll be a base hit for Wright. His 2nd hit of the night.
See, the 2 for 4 looks much better in the sport page tomorrow than 1 for 4.
That's right.
Here's Murphy, who's grounded out all 3 times. Murphy now just 1 for his last 14. As he has cooled down, batting average down to 289.
Everybody playing deep in the outfield, no doubles. 6-run lead, nothing over your head.
Tatis to follow. Carlisle for the 2nd straight hitter has fallen behind 2-0. And there's a strike to Murphy. The Braves with a win tonight would get back to 500 for the season. They got off to a poor start, but if they win tonight, they'll be 5-1 on this road trip. Out to short, could be a double play. Johnson with a turn, 2 out and nobody on. 6-4-3 on the double play. And so the Mets are down to their final out of the night.
A little off the end of the bat for Murph. Taylor-made.
So now Tatis, who's 1 for 3, drove in a run with a ground out in the 7th inning. Mets tied it up in the 5th inning. It was 1-1 going to the 7th when the Braves put up 4 unearned runs to grab a lead they have not relinquished. Tomorrow night it's Mike Pelfrey who puts his 4-0 record on the line against Jair Jurgens, who is 3-2 for Atlanta. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night on SNY, and then a day game on Wednesday, the final game of the homestand. Now Carlisle ahead on Tatis, 0-2, and he misses with the slider. Tatis has now gone 40 plate appearances without striking out. Jeremy Reed hoping that Tatis keeps it going, gets him another at bat. 1-2, and that's too high. And now it's 3-2 to Tatis. And Carlisle trying to put this game to bed. That's won the first 5 games of this homestand. When they opened Shea Stadium in 1964, it took the Mets until August of that year to win 5 straight games at Shea.
Wow.
And it took them until 1969 to win 6 straight games at Shea.
Oh, boy.
Hopefully it won't take the Mets to their 8th season to win 6 straight at Citi Field. 3-2 into left center field. That'll fall for a base hit. Tatis heads for second. Schaefer's throw arrives too late, and Tatis has his 3rd double of the year. And the Mets are alive in the 9th inning.
Well, good hitting by Tatis, and once again, Tatis hustling. One thing Tatis does, he runs everything out.
Fernando has a second baseball life, and he takes nothing for granted.
Absolutely. No question.
So here's Jeremy Reed getting the rare start tonight, and he's taken advantage with a single and a double. And he's not going to give away an at-bat.
No.
There have been too few of them for him. But here's the good thing for Jeremy. By going 2 for 3 tonight, he's now hitting .353 for the year.
And can't break in the lineup.
2-0 to Reed. Well, he's going to get a start tomorrow night if Jerry Manuel sticks with the plan. Omir Santos on deck. And there's a strike, 2-1. And now Carlisle falls behind on Reed, 3-1. Got the double play ball from Murphy, but then dillied around after getting ahead 2 strikes to Tatis. Gave up the double. Now he's 3-1 on Reed. And Jeremy pops one up. Coming back is McCann, hoping, but not enough room. Well, there just is so little room behind home plate here.
At Shea Stadium, that's a big out.
Did you say that's a hang with him, isn't it?
Yep.
45 feet from home plate to that brick wall. The shortest distance in the major leagues, which makes for a great seat if you're right there behind home plate. Feel like you're in the umpire's back pocket. And Reed draws a walk, and so the Mets have 2 men on. 3rd time that Jeremy Reed's been on base tonight. Well, so Carlisle will have to go after Omir Santos.
You want to get in your pitching coach's doghouse, that's one way to doing it, right there with a 6-run lead.
And the man with the doghouse is on the phone. And out behind that double wire fence, there's some activity. Ball 1 to Santos. And Mike Gonzalez, the closer, is going to get up, and Roger McDowell heads out to the mound. It's 8-2 Atlanta. There are 2 out in the bottom of the 9th.
I don't know what you can say. You know, in this instance, throw strikes.
Throw it down the middle.
He's really out there, so Gonzalez will have time to get loose, but this is really nothing to say to a guy like Buddy Carlisle. He's been around a long time. Throw the ball over the plate. Let's bus leaves in 45 minutes, right?
Well, yes. That would be nice.
Santos 0 for 2 tonight at a sacrifice fly in the 5th, driving his 9th run. And there's a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Santos has had 42 at bats, 9 RBIs. Gary Sheffield on deck if Santos keeps it going. 1-1 off the plate, and it's 2-1. Carlisle looking more and more annoyed with himself.
Let's just say we wouldn't be buying him a beer after the game tonight.
Santos lines it into center for a base hit. Tatis being waved around. He'll come in to score. Santos has his second RBI of the night, and now it's 8-3 Atlanta. It's making some two-out noise in the bottom of the ninth.
Oh, good hitting by Santos. Fastball right up the middle. Stays nice and level.
Santos continues to put together good at-bats. And now Gary Sheffield will get a turn. Pinch hitting. 2 on and 2 out. 8-3 Atlanta. Last of the ninth. And ball 1 to Sheffield. Jose Reyes would be next. Reed and Santos aboard. And Sheffield takes a strike.
Jeff is 2 for 5 so far this season, of course. With that RBI and home run, his 500th. That's a pinch hitter.
186 overall. And he pops one up, and again this will come back and out of play, and it's 1-2. So the Mets again are down to their final strike.
It just seems to me right now, I know Chef hasn't been playing, it's hard for him to get into a groove with Jose Reyes. Chef right now is a middle-in hitter. He's having trouble with that outside corner.
There's always been a guy who looks to pull just about everything. Tap back to the mound. Carlisle handles it cleanly, and the ball game is over. So the Braves, with 4 unearned runs in the 7th inning, beat Johan Santana, snapped the Mets' 7-game winning streak as Derek Lowe gets the victory.